All right, guys, so let's wrap up the show. Final thoughts here. And I think I was thinking the whole time, I do want to ask you. So you and Summer did a show on Sheologians. Guys, everyone go to sheologians.com and pick up the episodes of Sheologians with Summer and Joy. You can also go to apologiastudios.com. You can click on the Sheologians link there. But you guys did a talk on the statement on social justice and the gospel. So when you're reflecting on these things after doing that show, you did it with...
Tom Askell.
Mm-hmm. So what are your thoughts in terms of...
I think that if you don't want to sign something, that's fine. You don't have to.
Right.
And I know that there are a lot of well-meaning, well-intentioned people that didn't sign it, and that's fine. I also know there are just as many trolls and people that want to just be angry about everything. Right. And why didn't they invite me to write this statement?
Right.
But I mean, Sheologians signed it because it's a statement that says it right in the name. It's a statement. It's not a plan of action necessarily. It's not, okay, and now here are the next 5 steps that we're going to take to do better.
It's not the 1689 London Baptist Confession of Faith.
Right.
Or
it
the
is
1646.
It's a response.
Yeah.
There is this uprising in our church, which you just heard described by Andrew Sandlin, and it is a response by the church also to say, this is what we affirm, this is what we deny, and I agree with what's in there.
Ultimately helpful. Yeah.
Yes, especially in this area. And I think that it's important that we make statements like this. It's something that you don't see all that often in our current society, is people coming together. Like, when you think of the statements made, you think of like church history far back. But we should be doing things like this more. When issues come up like this in our society, we need to get together and say, no, actually, this is what we believe. Right. You don't come at me, especially because there's so much information just running around all over the place on the internet. So being clear and concise in this day and age is very important. Now, I'm not saying every statement written by people I agree with just gets a free pass and I'll sign it.
Right.
But it is important, especially now where you have, like, basically the place right now where Christians talk about what they believe is the internet. Mm-hmm. And there's all these different opinions, and there's all these arguments, and there's these people that want to have good conversations and engagements, and then there's people that don't know how to even do that, and then there's people that just want to be mad all the time. And so I think that in terms of clarity, this is something that we should be doing more often.
So I was thinking that, that's why I wanted to talk to you about it, that this probably hits really close to home for you. I mean, obviously, being an Apologia Church, Apologia Studios, we're always trying to engage these cultural issues and false teachings and false gospels, but we're also trying to engage in a lot of these cultural issues to bring the light of the gospel into those areas, and also contrast the perverse notions of law and justice and righteousness in our day with biblical law, justice, and righteousness. So we're already a part of that, but on Sheologians in particular, this is why I think it's interesting for you. And on Sheologians in particular, you guys are constantly addressing sort of the fallout of a lot of these perverse ideologies and worldviews. You're talking about feminism a lot. You're talking about intersectionality. You're talking about cultural Marxism and ideas and these sorts of things. So I thought in particular it hits close to home to you because that's kind of you guys, your emphasis. You're really trying to engage these issues that are having real life, like physical, this is happening here, it's impacting us. It's not just sort of a theory up here somewhere's, in a coffee shop with their finger to their lip, sort of sipping on coffee saying, I think this is a good idea. No, it's actually now invaded the church. It's in the Christians' heads. They're putting hands and feet to these ideas. And of course, in the culture at large, it's already been going. So I just thought probably why it hits close to home.
Yeah, I think that, we all have our areas that we would seem to be more called to. It's not that we're not called to the other areas. It's just that we have a certain burden for certain areas. And even since we started Sheologians, you can see we have witnessed, like we Summer and I discovered this interest and this love for this certain group of people. And then even since then, we've seen it start to come into the church, and people are just, people, I don't know exactly what it is would take an entire episode to describe, but people are just jumping onto whatever they think sounds good to them, whatever their church is talking about. And so I think that it is important that we have something that's clear to refer back to. Just because there's so much conjecture and it can be so hard to communicate over the internet. And this is where SJWs communicate. I'm sorry, but on the internet. Yeah. And so I think that it is important. The statement is important in and of itself, just because of what it is. It is a statement. It is us saying, here's what you can throw an insult at me and say, I believe something, but I signed this. This is what I believe.
Right.
Oh no, but you believe this and this. You believe that women are not equal to men.
Right.
No. I signed this.
Yes.
I don't believe that.
Yeah.
So like, it's just, I like it just for its clarity.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking too that when we were trying to encourage you guys, and we were all prayerful over theologians, there was this little period of time before that we're really, trusting God to make this happen and that it would be a blessing to the church. I think like if we can circle back and think about what was happening around us at the time, we knew that these things were a problem and they needed to be addressed. But it's amazing. And in just 2 years, it is launched.
Yeah.
Like beyond where you would see people on the outside as obviously that's a false teacher. Right. Obviously this person's completely off. Now, in just a short period of time, we're seeing it infecting solid. People that are generally solid, and you're like, wait, this is so fast. It is cancerous, destructive, and it just metastasized quickly.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think I think it is a surprise how much squishiness exists out there.
Yeah.
But I think that even if the statement written by men isn't absolutely perfect in its entirety, I think that it offers some, like you said, solid. Yeah. So in this world of like squishiness, there's something solid to refer back to, and it's a statement that we've made that says what it is just.
Don't misrepresent us.
It's really an excellent way.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this is the end of our engagement with culture, but it is a great way to engage with culture because everything is so nebulous and all over the place right now.
That's right.
That's what I appreciate about it, mainly.
I mean, in regard to the statement, you and I, we all know when we first saw it, we all had the same immediate concerns over it, right? Because there is some language that is a bit muddy when it comes to, the gospel and God's law and stuff like that. And so, this is what I think is important. We didn't just come out guns a-blazing. This is ridiculous. This is garbage. Like, we went and asked people that were actually part of writing this, hey, what's going on? Why was it written this way? And, and so I signed it. And it's funny because I was thinking about it, was praying over it, and then I saw Andrew, what he said he signed it, and he said, I'm signing this, but, there's some issues I think that could be clarified. And so I was thinking the same thing. So like I'm signing it with the caveat, like there's an issue I have, but overall I agree with it.
Right.
And I think the reason that some of the language is muddy was to bring together these different groups that have maybe some differing views on the extent of the gospel, right?
Right.
But to bring them together in agreement over this issue of social justice.
Yeah.
And I think
because ultimately that's what the statement is about.
Exactly. And so I think the thing that's made it, I don't want to say salvageable, but signable for me was in the part of the gospel where it was saying that I think it was worded that the main focus or job or mission of the church is to preach the gospel, which I agree, we would agree with. We would just say, well, then the effect of that is it changes the culture.
Yeah.
Right.
But this statement kind of ended there, and that's where people are having an issue with it. But they're right. They didn't say anything that's wrong.
Right.
They just said stuff where I was like, you could have gone.
We'd like you to say more.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
Yeah.
But I get why they did it, and that's why I was like, okay.
Yeah.
That's why the overall gist of it, like we agree with, and I think is a good thing. And so I mean, I just want to encourage brothers and sisters out there, like when stuff like this comes up, like don't just don't just come out like I said, guns a-blazing, and without even asking questions, without even going to people and saying, hey, can you clarify some things, or can you explain some things? Like, that was what was sad to me, was to see people that are solid brothers and sisters that we agree with. We agree with their position, but it's like, whoa, just pump the brakes for a second, and it's at that point, it's like it just creates more division with people that we should be united with on this issue.
Yeah, and can be.
Yeah.